The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put him in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. What's going on, guys? Oh, man, gonna have a good day today. Me and Joe had a conversation earlier. Put it up on the channel for the members. Man, it goes deep. It goes really deep, man. We understand the implications of what's going on with the RAV, man. And I ordered the parts for it. John sent me a list. I ordered it. So we're gonna start running it the way he did. Really cool stuff, guys. We're on the cutting edge of this thing, man, of how it's supposed to go. And wow, one of the what's going on, Omega? We got some cool stuff, man. It's I want to say this: if you get one RAV, can you get two RAVs? Then can you create an Einstein Rosen bridge between them? That's kind of what the conversation was a little bit. A little bit of Schauberger in there, man. A little bit of understanding of that and how he understood how going in the water and creating vortexes in the water and then going in between one end of the vortex to the other and how it worked. And then how he saw it in the air, just a different viscosity of the same thing. So, yeah, it goes kind of deep in there. We also go into the Philadelphia experiment, a little bit into the three orbs that Ashton talks about. Man, there's a cool, just wide-ranging conversation that goes on in that. So, Joe and I thought it'd be interesting to once in a while record the stuff that we do behind the scenes, and then that way you guys could watch it too. So, if you're a member on the channel, man, check it out. It's totally awesome. It starts out a little slow, but it'll get you right to the point, man. After a while, and it's just one cool thing after another. Even the geometry understanding of how everything orbits the sun, and then how that's moving through space and the shapes that it produces. So think about it this way, man. It produces these shapes that go like this, right? So you start out here, and then you go like this every time, and then you go like this, and then like this, and then like this. Why is that? Well, because number one, it's the orbit, but it's also making a pattern for you. So if you just took the points on each one of those things where they do that, it makes a geometrical shape. That coincides with how energy is working. Your planets already do it. Your sun puts out every one of the shapes because it does every one of the resonance frequencies. It's a self-organizing principle. And it happens throughout the entire solar system. You can see it totally when you see the understanding of we're traveling through space. It's not traveling around us. We're traveling through it. And when you understand that's why there's signal markers everywhere of what happened in the past. You say Oumuamua came in during the time of the Day of the Dead, man. On that day is the first day that it arrived in our solar system. That's when you could first time see it. So what happened then? 2 solar eclipses in the same year. You were able to see it. They were tracking this thing. We're in the point where we're running against this stuff. We're running into it. It's already there. We're running into it. It's debris left over from something, which means is there some bigger thing out there, man, we're going to run into? That's really interesting. Yeah. When you look at it and you understand that, man, your whole perspective of everything changes. You start to understand geometry a little better and how each thing builds out, because it's not the shape like this. It's the point to point to point to point to point to point, and it makes your geometrical pattern. And it's still in 3 dimensions, but you can see it in 2 dimensions that way. Really cool stuff, man. But yeah, this rap thing, man, is not going away. I think Joe and I might be talking about it again on Friday. Again, some of the implications here are huge for science. I don't think they really understand how suns build out. How you think the ball lightning is interesting. This is way more interesting because you could see the actual fields themselves build out in it. Joe was talking about the shadow behind it was something a little bit different than when you thought it was. See, I just thought it was a camera reflection. And Joe says, no, 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 no. It's the fourth dimension. It's the fourth dimensional wall you're looking at. It's the counter space of what it builds out to be. And when you change the camera angle from looking at it, kind of like this, and you looked at it down like this, it changed it because it showed you everything in it that was going on, everything between this point and this point. So where did the cathode go in the situation of a RAV? Well, when it makes that little piece that comes out of it, that's your cathode. It has now separated itself from the cathode. So it works on an anode situation, and the cathode that builds itself, now it can achieve self-resonance. That's amazing. That was something that only a node could do before, where you build a Tesla coil, you build another one outside of it, it makes a node, and the energy comes into it. You see, that's the understanding of the node. And then out of the node, you can start building whatever you want because all you have to know is where the null zones are. And you can build out different ones for different planets or different solar systems, things like that. But that node itself is where the resonance came from, where the energy came from. Now, if you understand that, anode and cathode is pretty easy because as the node comes out, it builds your anode. Your cathode comes out of when you get into rotation, it immediately puts it there. It now has the situation it needs to propagate. That's so cool, man. Like, what happens next when you amplify the energy in this thing? See, when you amplify the energy, will it build out another one and then another one? Did you just build out a solar system by doing this? That's the implication here. Are you building something bigger than what you think it is? We see things in the lab, man, that don't compare to this. This is off the charts. Such a cool thing, man. Sean does have a channel, man, but he doesn't upload to it. Usually he comes on Wednesdays on Today, and he'll talk about everything that he does in his lab. Sean's health's not so good, so he only comes on every once in a while, man. So, and it's always a joy when he comes on. I really do appreciate it. He's got an open platform to talk about whatever he wants. So, yeah, this is yeah, pretty interesting, man, the stuff that he did. So what was cool was the anode is not just a regular, you know, I want to say, not just a regular anode, man. It's something wrapped around it in order to get the vortex started in the circular pattern. Once you do that, man, then the sky's the limit. And you'll start seeing the null zones. Now, the null zones are not without energy. That's a misconception. The null zones are actually zones where energy, where the impulse and pulse go together, where you're starting to get a mesh between them. And what they're doing is singling each other out in there and creating a little energy to each other so that it cannot propagate the energy outward. The energy is still there. It's still there in that spot. As a matter of fact, it's a lot of energy in there, but it cannot build out to excite light, to excite gas, to get light. It's an interesting phenomena, but you'll see it. For instance, when I first built my Tesla coil, my PMP circuit, you would see this phenomena happen. You put the circuit too close to the coil, it started to try to resonate with the power source itself. And when it got to like 20 volts, you were cranking this thing up and nothing would happen. But then all of a sudden, boom, an energy blast would come out of it because it finally reached the point where it resonated with it and it shot out immediately. It was like an EMP in the room. I had it shut off my live stream twice on me. It's powerful. But this is what these things are doing all the time. That's where they get the amplification of energy. They're pulling it in from the environment around them because energy's everywhere. That's the link. For people who think the Tesla coil to another Tesla coil doesn't create wireless energy, it's just the energy from the first one building out. That's wrong. And it's wrong because energy is everywhere. All you need to do is attenuate the frequency in the string in order to start it. And that's what it showed. When you are in the correct environment, when you're in that radiant environment where the energy is everywhere, it pulls the energy in. That's the understanding. It's not the other way around. It's not, oh, you're creating RF and that's just turning on another one. No. Sorry. You lose that, man, when you start attenuating mass to the other coil. And as soon as you add more mass, that adds more energy to it. And then you lose your argument. You lose it real quick. I did that with a wire, man. I showed you guys plugging it in. And I plugged it into what you thought was grounding. It was just a power bar, right? The power bar wasn't hooked to nothing. I was adding mass. As soon as I added mass, man, it increased the energy level. Some things, man, just work out when you understand this stuff. I thought it was a hilarious joke, by the way. Anyway, oh man, yeah, the neon bulb goes in Faraday. Dude, so this energy that builds out everywhere goes right through every Faraday cage there is. There isn't one that'll hold it in. It's everywhere. You can't hold it in. It's not RF in that way. It builds out. It's just energy that's built out. It's everywhere. So, yeah, we see it, man, when we look at our universe. We see it there. We look at it when we see our solar system. Each one of them has a sphere around it with energy everywhere. That's what the darkness is. It's built out. You can't get to it because it's an energy where the energy sources are going at each other, man. And it's canceling each other out in a way, but the energy is always there. All you have to do is put up something with the correct frequency and you have it. We see it in our world today, man. We click into that frequency every once in a while. You know what I mean? Put your socks on, go down the hallway, you'll get into that energy right there and start pulling it in. You didn't create energy. You created friction. Your friction pulled in the energy. Totally different understanding than the way physics teaches it now. It teaches that you build everything out in a pulse. They don't understand an impulse. When you build an impulse, man, you pull it in. The closest thing that I seen to it was they were talking about, oh man, they were talking about the thunderstorm generator, and they started building this thing out. And the guy was talking about resonance, which he was dead on, man, with the resonance on that it was building it out, but absolutely the wrong idea when he started bringing traditional physics into it because it went way off board in the wrong way. You see, resonance is a very specific process. And when you have the cap bank, you could see it clear as day. Okay. You clip each one of the cap banks as you go, it'll start building out resonance, going to an arc, right? It'll build it out. And then as soon as you get to the arc or the pitch of it, it'll be the highest amount of energy there is, but it's the lowest amount of energy you put in, but the highest amount is putting out because that's when the frequency is the best. Then boom, it'll drop off. And then the next one will grow. You're going in a circle that way, just like this. Okay. That's what you're building. You're building out, okay, a vortex like this, going in a circle like that till it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But every time your energy will go to a high level, then drop off, then a high level and drop off. That's the way resonance works, man. That cap bank showed you that real easy. I went through 3 different resonance levels. So it started out at a very low frequency, and then we started to build it. And every time we built it and dropped off and built it again, it kept going up and up and up in the frequency itself. So it was telling you where the zones were. And if you can understand this, there's a zone that cannot build out the energy in it to light up light bulbs or excite the gas. Then there isn't one. Then there is one. Then again, it'll do it where it can't build it out enough. Then it goes again. That's exactly how these rings build out. If you look at it in two dimensions, it's rings. It builds out that way. If you understand resonance, it builds out like a saw blade, but by going bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, completely different, man. How do you think the reverse electron shell forms? Well, number one, I don't believe in electrons in the way that you guys do. And you guys believe in a little electron that comes out from something and rotates around just like you would see in your nuclear thing, or an atom. How you see the atom working? I don't see it that way. Not at all. I see the energy itself building out in spheres from the center. It builds in zones of energy and all null, and then energy and then null, energy and null. But the energy and the null is just canceling each other out. I, I don't I don't see it in traditional science sense at all. And I'll tell you what, the Rav absolutely told you didn't build in the traditional science sense. It it's flipping the bird to all the science and all that talk about electrons and the way they're built. It's showing you a whole different path. It's showing you physically how it's doing it. It's not hypothetical. It's not a guess. It's showing you how it's done. So sorry, limited. We all have our ways of believing things. So I didn't mean that for everybody. Yeah, it's the start of understanding a mini sun. It really is. In the more that we play with it and amplify it, we're going to find more things to it to prove out that theory. Okay. So it's just a theory for now. It is not something that's bona fide and put in the books. It's an absolute theory on how it's working, but it's a promising one because it started with the invention itself. We see what's going on so we can observe it. Now we can calculate distances and see a little bit more information on it. Now, when we put that up, we can say, hey, Mr. Physicist, take a look at this. We have something that builds out this way. Take a look at each thing that it does. Do you have anything in physics that matches what the description of this is doing? And they go, okay, yeah, we have this. And then boom, it, it turns into a better theory that way. And it gets to the point where it becomes scientific fact after a while because you're building out the experiment first. So I think it's totally awesome, man. It's the way I love things to work. You build it out, they see it, they evaluate it, they write their papers based on it. And it could go every rich direction. Everybody has their own inventive mind, so they may see something that you didn't. And that's what I like. Yeah, I mean, but at least it started with the experiment first. So yeah, way cool, man. So Sean said he read a book where somebody was doing something like this, and then he said, "Okay, well, let me do what they're doing," and then he found this. So the cooler part was it didn't happen with DC flybacks; it's happening with AC flybacks because in there, out of both sides of your flyback, man, you just get a magnetic signature out of both. They're the negative and the circuit. They're equal to each other. They're always in the same frequency. So anytime one's building out, man, you're building out two frequencies, so they're going to be resonant to each other from the beginning, and it makes a good resonance to it. So as you get the anode and cathode going, you have the anode in there on the rod, but it also has a circular form to it because it's a string, it's like a guitar string type of thing. And then on the other side, you get the cathode, which goes to the water, which ionizes the water, which actually allows it to split everything that's in there, the molecules apart, easier. That's what it does when you ionize it. Then it comes through and it makes a one-way diode through the clay. So then it lets the hydrogen atom get out to it. As soon as it can get that hydrogen atom into the center of it, all the rings coalesce around it, man. And then you see this little piece come out of it and go right to the outside. And then that becomes the cathode in the situation. They start feeding off of each other. Dude, it follows physics 100% on how it builds out. It's like building your first planet out of your sun. There's a relationship going on there that we're just not understanding yet. And I think that's one of the cool things that could be out of this project is we can better understand that relationship, and we'll understand that every planet that comes out to there is entangled to the sun, which we already know that they are, but it gives you a reason for why they're entangled to the sun. That's what's cool. But then when you do this and you have your anode and cathode already taken care of, that means you have a cathode sitting over here by itself. So because it's running the same exact thing as the anode, Now, if you can tie that in to get an anode and cathode situation going over there and get it to start, now we can do an Einstein-Rosen bridge between the two. Do you follow me on this? You're running an AC flyback, so two energy sources come out of it, right? Each one equal to each other in resonance frequency. As the RAV builds out, okay, and each one is circular and it creates its own cathode. Now we can do that same process over here. With the other half of it, we didn't need anymore because we already got what we needed out of it. Now we just need the hydrogen spark to get in there to make it orbit that. Now we can create a Rosen bridge between them. We can create the wormhole. They're already entangled. We could right together. Just like creating two in water, man. They're going to find each other and they're going to go in between each other. It's interesting to see if we can actually pull that off. That's like next level physics right there, man, because nobody sees that. So, yeah, joined at the right time. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, Bernie. Exactly, man. I did not read the book of Ken, to be honest with you, but I would imagine he's along the same lines we are. The only difference is Ken uses a lot of historical figures like Tesla and he used Steinman, stuff like that, to talk about how the relationship works, which I think is awesome. But we're using the science itself, the actual building out of the project to see it. So yeah, we're doing a little bit differently, man, but we're getting on that same path. So for those of you out there, by the way, who are members of the channel, man, you probably see all those things up in there, man, all those shorts from Sean. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to pull one because I think it's important. Let me see if I just have it right out. And we found out what the ghost worm was, man. We definitely found out what that was. It has to do with how the formation goes and how it would get into fusion reaction from this process. Which again, we're talking about building out a sun, so we're talking about fusion reaction in here. So let's see, this is Sean's RAV right here. I want you to see something, and this is what Joe was talking about. Excuse me, what Joe was talking about. You're seeing the fourth dimension here. That's not a camera trick. That's the fourth dimension, is what Joe's saying. You see the different colors in it. What does that tell you? That the gas is different at every level. So think about that. When you create a laser, what do? You basically are taking this thing between the magnetoelectric effect, putting it in the vortex, and you're exciting the gas in that localized area that it's producing. It's producing O3 originally. It'll produce that gas. You change the frequency, it produces a different gas. We all think the frequency just goes through gas, but that's not the case. It's building the gas. In this, you're seeing how the gas builds out in every single one of them in different colors. You see the center is green. You see outside of it, you have a little bit of an orange. Then you have a purple that comes out of that. You can see every single level of each gas in there because it's built out that way. It's showing you in the fourth dimension exactly which gases are building out, which makes you wonder, how exactly are we getting each gaseous state? Is the atom different than we think it is? You can also see inside the green here, there's two circles inside of it. You'll see them just as rings inside of it. And you can see exactly how that's building out. There's only one spot in the center. And if I'm not mistaken, as I'm looking at it, it's darkened. There is nothing at the center of this. Now, could it just be the one atom out there building it? Sure, it can. Could the whole green part be the atom? Sure, it could. We don't know yet. That's the thing. We don't know yet. But you can actually see this. You see down here on the bottom left, you get that little orb that's built out right under the RAV. Well, you can also see it in the upper right. When you start looking at the fourth dimensional piece up there, it's on the upper right, and it has its own ring around it. It's building out. It's what gives it the relationship between it. And that's your anode cathode relationship. Oh, there you go. You can see the rings in it now. And the green, look in the green. You start to see the rings in it. It's crazy. Even the little dot, if you look right above the little dot, there's another little dot starting to form. This is how it's done, man. You can also see that right around the original piece, if you look around it in a 360-degree pattern, you can see it building out on the ground. And then you can see it in the fourth dimension right behind it. It's amazing. Did you see it flex right there? I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. Just watch. It'll flex in and out. That's your resonance right there. It'll get to a high point and then go back to a low point. There it is. Flex. Flexes again right there. Flexes again. You could see this building out and building back in. You see how it gets bigger and then smaller? Right there in the green part of the center. You could see it pulsing. You didn't need slow motion. You can physically see it. There it is. Right there. You see that image? You change the camera angle. What did it tell you? Between that and the little part, we're doing the figure eight, guys. Right there. Looks like two balls. We got two balls going on. One real bright and one little tiny one. Yeah, you can see it build out, man. It's the anode cathode situation working on itself. It's resonant to each one. The little one is resonant to the big one. Yeah, well, we got a lot of data capture. It's going to happen, man. I ordered the parts to build this out myself. So it's relatively easy, man. But we'll get a lot of information from it. Everything does a repeating pattern in nature, man. So what's going on there, man, in the clay? Well, tells the story, doesn't it? Because you're building out different gases inside of it, you get a transmutation. Now think about that. You're going to get a transmutation. I'm going to show you another one of these, man. And we were looking at it before, and we had time to analyze it a little bit more. So it's Joe's favorite video. Oh, hold on. I don't think this is the one I wanted. That one was too slow. You have to see it in the whole thing. That right there, that ghost worm that just came out of there, You see it on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen? That's the beginning of fusion. You see the beams coming out the left and right side? We also see the fourth dimension going on behind it. You see all the colors? Yeah, well, it's an electron. It's electricity that spits out of it as soon as you get into the fusion process, is what it is. It's not a hair. It's literally part of the process, man. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how that builds out, man. It tells you a story of what's going on here. I want to slow down the beginning of this because you could start to see this thing. You see, it's already built out the little piece over here. You see the rab in the center, bottom left, it's already built it out. Dude, it is already building out. So you see it, they now have a causational relationship, and then boom, we're going to form it right now. Right there. The formation, an explosion that pops out from it. Look at that. You got the energy pulls out both sides of it, just like a laser beam, man. It's just shooting out to both sides. It builds back to the normal size, and you can see that little piece underneath the rev on the bottom left that it's already there. Man, we are in it. That's our new cathode right there. It'll now have a relationship with it the entire time. There was one of these, and I'm trying to find it right here, where you can actually see it being split out of it. You can see all the flowers behind it, how the resonance actually builds. I'll have to take an individual picture of it. But you'd be able to see it splitting like two amoebas, man. It just builds right out of each other. That's on one of these somewhere, man. Oh, there's your worm, guys. Part of it's trying to build out. Yep. There's a lot more here, man. A lot more here. Hey, Jarvis, I want to say congratulations, man. Got some time under your belt, man. Good job, brother. Awesome to hear. Darren, I sent you an email, man. The stuff shipped out today. So you're gonna be over there to hook up some more coils soon. Yeah, Bernie's got a bunch of short film stuff. He did a lot of interview work, man, with Julia. So check out his channel, man. I was on there today watching a panel. So definitely check out his channel. You got cool stuff going on, man. And by the way, that Oasis was awesome. Water, that looks so good, man. Just in the middle of the rocks, man, you got this oasis of water, which is just totally amazing. Right on, brother. We're here for you, man. Zap more stuff. That's exactly what we do. Nice. Man, you got a lot to put together, man. What do you got it going on, man? Let me remove that. Sorry, I'm going through the comments, guys. Give me a second. Well, see, that's what we're talking about, Darren. Because it breaks the anode cathode relationship and it just uses the anode in the situation now. Once it builds that little ball out, that becomes the anode cathode relationship. So what happens if we start using the anode over here? What are we going to end up building? That's what I'm saying. We could build out a second one altogether. This power source has 4 different AC transformers in it, if I'm not mistaken. At least 2, probably has 4, the one I keep seeing from Sean. So what can we do then? Can we build out multiple one of them? Can we create the Einstein-Rosen bridge between them? That's the interesting part, man. That's the one we want to see. You referred the alt propulsion channel dude to chat with you. Right on, brother. I appreciate it. I actually had a chat with him, man. Several times, actually. Yeah. Really cool. So Bob Greenier is the one I want to talk to about this because but I want Sean to be in the room with us because it's gonna go right into what he does. This is the thunderstorm generator without the shells. Okay, just understand that this is without the shells. This is what you're gonna find on the inside. And it proves it with the pattern that's in the clay when it's done. It's building out his pattern the same way. It's just doing it in a different way where you can see everything that's going on. It's one step closer to fusion, is what it is. You're absolutely right. I can't say for certain that it is, but I'm going to tell you it's pretty close. If it's building out those little things, that little string thing that pops out, man, they identify it in fusion. As soon as you start to get close to fusion, those things start popping out. It's an anomaly. It's not supposed to happen. It's like something in there is not exactly correct yet. And so those things come out of it. And it's well documented. That's why we think we're onto something more here. Because once we can fix that, because it doesn't come out every time, but there must be a relationship going on there. Once we can fix that, man, we might be able to do this without the gigantic magnetic containment that they put on these things and build it out. And maybe it may need to name it after that, but it's building out its own containment to it as it builds it, because it automatically builds out that null zone. I told you guys about this field a long time ago. It builds out something outside of it that contains it. Well, the sun's being contained. We should all understand that. We think of it as just blowing out energy everywhere. It's not. It's contained. So when you understand that, you can understand what the containment is. It's the energy that's all around it building into the energy coming out of it. It's the canceling of the two that's going on there. So it's changing the way we understand things. It's an energy field. You didn't need plates to do the Kashmir effect. You needed the energy, and you needed the right kind. You see the clay is reacting the water on the high voltage. You don't think it's ball lightning. Well, I'll be honest with you, man. It's better than ball lightning. It is better than ball lightning because it's creating its own cathode. It's creating its own ability to restore itself and regenerate itself. It doesn't need the outside shells for resonance. The resonance comes from the transformers themselves. It's always in resonance. And when it builds out its own cathode, which you see is the little dot right there, man, it starts resonating with it. It's much better than ball lightning. Much better. It's a better understanding of what's going on, man. Ball lightning, you could build that in a bulb. This builds out and it's containing itself. That's the most important part. You got to understand this. We are in a containment field inside of our earth. Just understand this. So anything that you build out right now is being contained. And when you amplify that containment of that cancellation field, what happens? Well, it makes it compress even harder and it builds out more energy in there. Yeah. This is a different understanding in physics, man. Completely different. And I think it's way better. Way better. I use this field all the time, man. So yeah, and it builds out the same way. It has to do with your magnetodielectric effect, man. Always has been, always will be. We built this out in the gravity flyer, man. Works beautiful to contain energy. Works out beautiful to contain energy. It's the exact same process is going on, man. As soon as you can put these things in resonance with each other, you got it. These things starts building energy rings. It's an energy and null zone, energy null zone, energy null zone, and it shows it. We'll take a look at it again. It's right there. We can see it build out, man. You got the high energy zone in the green. It goes down to a null zone between it, builds out again to a high energy zone, null zone, and then it builds out again. The rings are set up all the way. All the way. That's how it would look. And it has to do with how resonance builds out. Resonance builds out, like I said, starting from the center, you're going in a vortex pattern that builds out bigger. As you get to resonance, we could tell this, it builds up to a peak as it arches, and then it drops. Then it builds up to a peak and arches. All meanwhile, it's doing the rotation. It's doing the golden ratio as it does it coming out of it. That's why it's so important, because we see it actually coming out right here. It builds up to a high point of energy. It drops off. Then it starts to rebuild itself. Then it drops off, starts to rebuild itself. I once saw a crop circle where somebody built this out, and everybody wanted to say it's pi, it's phi. No, it's resonance. That was the shape that you see. It's resonance. I give you a test where you can tell this. I went through 3 resonance zones on my Tesla coil. And what it'll do is you flip the CAC bank. It'll be at a non-resonating state. Every time you flip into each cap, the resonance value goes up. It goes up, it goes up. Then, once it gets the highest peak, it'll drop off. But the frequency is higher than when you started. So you've graduated the frequency up, got to its peak, and then it drops off. Then we hit the caps again. It goes from that frequency right there, it'll continue to rise again until you hit the peak. And then it'll drop off. That cap bank in that Tesla coil tells you everything that you needed to know about resonance and how it worked, because it outlined it perfectly. You could see it on your oscilloscope and read it right off of there in the numbers. You could see the frequency itself build, then boom, drop off. Then it started to build again. But every time it restarted, it was a higher frequency point. You saw the frequency go up, 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 up. The power dropped off, and then it started again. It's an absolute foolproof test of how it works. It showed you it did it that way. And when it shows you it does it that way in the lab, you have to respect it and listen to it. That's why it oscillates too. Because it's a building. Continuously builds and drops, builds and drops, builds and drops. That's why string theory has it partially right, man. When they show the strings, there's one pulses in, the other one impulses. One pulses in, the other one impulses. They have it looking like this. They have it look like this one goes boom. While this side right here, impulses. They almost have it right. Resonance is two frequencies oscillating perfectly in tandem with each other. That's what it is. Yeah. I, dude, in order for my systems to work, I have to put them in resonance. So, and then if you've dealt with resonance at a high power long enough, because high voltages don't lie to you, it tells you when it wants more energy and wants less energy. Because resonance itself is pulling in the energy from around you, what it'll tell you is as you get it to a resonance peak, it wants you to put in less input energy because the resonance itself is producing the energy. That's what not a lot of people will understand. Unless you have the system in front of you, you probably wouldn't understand it at all. It's telling you the answer. It's telling you that, hey, we're almost at the point of self run. If your coil that you built is perfect in every way between a primary and secondary, it'll run itself after you put every other coil around it. It builds out, builds back to it, just like the universe itself. Universe starts at a central point, builds out, builds back the energy to it. Every single way it works. I can show it. I've done it. I've built it. It works. That's why you guys got to understand this. For all the theories that are out there, if you want something to be entangled, you better resonate it. It is the key to the entire universe. You got to understand this. If you understand the geometry, if you understand how resonance actually functions, if you understand the energy it pulls in from the environment around it, if you understand that the fact that you're building out a field itself that encompasses a huge area and then anything that's resonant inside that area turns on, now you start to understand this. You're building the bubble. You're building what you need to. This is resonance theory. This is a theory that's going to take over all of science because it's inevitable to find it. It is an inevitability in this freaking world to find this. Okay. No question. It is the absolute thing that amplifies everything in your system. It is the key to understanding energy in all of it. Without it, you deal with hysteresis and loss all over the place that you cannot quantify and you cannot find out how to recycle the energy or change it into anything you want to. You can't transmute anything without resonance. Okay? You can't put these things together without it. You have to have coherence and resonance in order to make atoms stick together. When you have distortion of it, they pull apart and you get less. I don't want to say it's mass because it's not. It's density. You're making it less dense when you're pulling the atoms apart. You're not splitting the atoms from one another. You're just temporarily pulling them apart. When you do that, they can't attenuate density anymore. They no longer suck you to the planet. That's why it works. That's how anti-gravity is working. Resonance is the absolute key to this. I am right now writing resonance theory, guys, because I know it's a fact. Every time I prove out another system, every time I prove out it works, I know it's a fact. It's not about what you think. It's about what you can show, and I can show this. This is something I can show in a lab. I can show it to your face again and again and again and again. That's the difference. This is full on what it is. So it all starts there, man. As soon as you can build out a node and understand what it's doing, you have it. So everybody in history sees things a little bit differently. It's what you can prove. And so far we're proving when we look at Sean's Rav, how these things build out is differently than what they said. It is completely different. Right on, Jarvis. Thank you, brother. Anyway, yeah, I know an old man rants, but I do it with cause, guys. You see me on this channel build out everything. I test everything. And because I test everything, I can give a unique perspective to it that others can't. And every system shows this stuff. It's how you're evaluating your system. Yeah. It's all in how you evaluate your system. I can see it in all of them. I can see how it works. Geometry is not going to fool me. Okay. I don't care if it's round. I don't care if it's a tube. You're just not going to fool me with what you're doing. So a lot of people get stuck in that. They get stuck in the geometry and they get lost. So I don't do that. Anyway, what's going on with you guys, man? Limited State's going to hook me up, man. He wanted to start a what did you call that, Discord service. So he got it all together, man. Hopefully after the show we can get together and get that Discord up and running, and everybody can talk to each other and have some awesome conversations in the back room, man. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, I think everybody's into that, man. Everybody likes talking about this stuff, and I think everybody's point of view, man, is going to be very well, put into everything. Even if it's a dissenting point of view, man. I mean, honestly, if you're challenging a system and somebody's building out the system, at least they have an opportunity to show you, yes, you're right, or no, you're not. And dude, the answer is what it is. The system's going to do what it's going to do. You know what I mean? You're not putting your bias in on that one. That one's just, it does what it does, and that's it. So as you attenuate different things to it, it starts to change. I'm good with that. Yeah, I hope so, man. I don't know much about Discord, but you got me into it, man. So I'm gonna follow your lead on it, man. So yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool though, man. Because I know you guys got great ideas, and I see them in the chat. But to be able to expand on that's going to be awesome. Oh man, yeah. Darren fried his coil, man. Oh, I still don't understand how you did that one, man. But the top of it was totally melted off. So we just sent him some more, man. Hopefully in the next week he's gonna have those things up and running again, man. Hopefully that 3D printer worked out for you, Darren. You got one, and you're able to pull the files. If not, let me know by all means. Oh, dude, I tried Halo on there. Okay, coming from the video game, and you know what I mean. You do pretty good with the controller and stuff. Moving to a keyboard, I got slaughtered. I absolutely got slaughtered, man. They use tricks in there. They use some time things in there to deal with your modem. Man, I got killed more times than I can believe. It was like you couldn't walk for 2 seconds without getting shot. Yeah, it was a total different gaming experience. Let me tell you that. And then what other one would I play on there? Oh man, it was something else. It came out after the Halo one, and it was one of the first multiplayer games that you could do on your Xbox. I think it was on the 360. Man, we were playing that one for quite a while. So I don't know why I can't remember it, but yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I like that one. But yeah, my daughter's on Discord. Gets on there and talks to her friends all about these leagues and stuff, and how they play in their little game leagues. And I'm lost. I have no idea what it means. Figure out things about all this other stuff with video games, man. It used to be my thing back in the day, but not now. Not now. Yeah, my son plays them too. They all whoop me. They set up the what is that? Some kind of Western game where you're shooting people, and then they get me in there, man, and like I'm the bait. I'm the one all the zombies start to get, and they're just coming around, and you see them flying by the front of the screen, shooting them all like a decoy these days. So funny. Huh. I don't know if it's Red Dead Redemption, to be honest with you. It might be. They, oh man. Yeah. I can tell you in the computer world, if your graphics card is garbage, you ain't winning. That's for sure. You play the video game, man, I get on the Halo, man, and headshot all day long. I get on the PC game, man, and I'm just awkward on a keyboard, can't figure it out. And then I do the thing where you take your gun and you're flipping it all over the place, man, and like you're just seeing stars or something. Yeah, that's right. I get shot a lot. World of Warships, nice, dude. I like the game Civilization. Civilization was awesome. I like playing that one. I like to build things up, man, and then take people on. And depending on what point you take them on in the game, it's easier. And you roll through them in the beginning, man. Make it real easy to take out a couple of them right away before you even get started. Yeah, that's when it's the best. Never let them build up. Always wipe them out early. So I like that game, man. Yeah, just something to do, I guess, in the pastime, huh? Oh man, I always play in the video game version, the 360 version, the Romans, because they populate faster, and I can start building cities everywhere. Nice. Age of Empires. I haven't played that one yet. All is light. Light. I don't believe light's a wave at all. Just like I don't believe in the boogeyman. I don't believe light's a wave at all. Not in the way you guys see waves. People think it's like a peas. You line up peas one after the other, and this wave goes in between the peas, and every single one of those peas represents the photon. Sorry, not into it. Not into it. Not when you know that you could take high voltage and the high voltage itself is producing ozone or any other gas that you want. And all you're doing is with the magnetodielectric effects is exciting the gas. Once you realize that, man, a photon's hard to understand. It becomes going backwards in science instead of going forward. Is the smallest particle of gas a circle? I don't know. Is it a sphere? I don't know. If you know the answer, then if it is, then maybe it is. But that's not how I see it. It just builds out radiantly, it builds out energy everywhere. That's why. That's what gas is. So yeah, I kind of lost all notion for a photon after I figured out how to make the light itself. Once you figure out how to make the light itself and you can attenuate whichever frequency you want, you realize you're not going through the wire. You're always vortexing around it. Gives you a completely different perspective of what you're seeing there. That frequency is never like this. We're not living in a 2D world. We're living in a three-dimensional world. And it always works that way. Everything's a vortex. You think that your planetary structures are not in a vortex right now? As they hurtle through the universe, everything is in a vortex. It is literally flying around in a vortex. So much different than what you think it is when you get to the realistic part of this. Not what you think at all. They could play an arc run at work. Oh, you get interrupted every 2 minutes. Well, yeah, you're at work. You're supposed to be doing work. Love it. I have not tried that. There you go. Yeah. Xenon gas for propulsion. Yeah, they were using it in their thrusters. They went from what was it? Like O3 to Xeon in order to make those thrusters work. Yeah. I saw that as well. Yeah, I know. Same old stuff at work, man. Do it with your eyes closed probably after a while. So funny, man. Oh, yeah. Dude. I used to work like 4 hours a day, man. My job was to go in and sell soda pop, right? And you go in there and you talk to receivers, you talk to the managers, you put up displays in the store, all that stuff. Well, dude, I can write the order in 5-10 minutes as I'm walking through there. Talk to everybody, man. I never once talked to them about my order. Never once. Never had to. It comes in clean, comes in neat, man. Everybody puts it away the right way. Everything's perfect. Okay. I never had to. We always shot the shit, man. I was talking more about the cars and stuff like that. And, which hot rods we all liked. And some people had some Pontiacs, and I usually had Chevrolets, man. Some people got some Fords and then some Dodges, man. And there was a car lot that was near all of it where I was at, and they sold old school cars, man. So the talk was always, which one was there, what it looked like, what we all thought of it. So yeah, we never talked about work, man. I never talk about work when I'm at work. Well, there's no point. I know my job. You know that I know my job. Why would I want to tell you about my job? It's boring. You know what I mean? 2 seconds. Yeah, this is going up here. This is done here, man. We're out, bro. We just talk about whatever we want. Dude, it's hard. Yeah, well, I broke my back twice doing it. So yeah, not exactly the easiest thing in the world. But there's the freedom to go where, the store that you want to go and the next, and then you get to eat lunch when you want. Kind of cool thing. They make you clock in and out, but I never cared. I'll clock in and out and just eat whenever the hell I want to. I'll eat my car on the next way to the next thing, and I'll eat by talking to the manager. We'll break some bread, man. Hang out, and you know what I mean. That was never a hard job. Once you understood what the time, don't know what they're doing. They have no freaking clue. They bury themselves with all kinds of product, and then the next day they come in there, man, and they're just getting yelled at all the time. I have no thing with that. I'll just build huge displays in your store, man. I built it was like a 12-foot Christmas tree, man, in a guy's store with a bunch of Sprite. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, man. It took over the whole front window of the whole place, man. It was awesome. I built me a TIE fighter. It was in an Albertsons, man, and I made it a 3D TIE fighter. So you would take the 12 packs and you build them out right, and you build these little walls that come up like this, and then you would take empties and build them out like this, and then hook them at the top with a little bit of tape to a Frito-Lay display on both sides, man. And it made the arched wings like this, and it came down like this. You'd build it in, and then on the front, you made it all out of empties, and you made it a big circle in the front. Man, it was rocking. Every time I did it, man, it was like people were tripping out. They're like, dude, that's so awesome. Well, yeah. Well, the manager just wanted to drop a couple pallets, and from the upstairs, you could look down and see what looks like a TIE fighter. I said, no. Let's fix this, man. This is way awesome. We're doing it in 3D. And then we made it in a, oh man, what was it? I think it was the Luckies at the time. Yeah, old school, man. Luckies. So we went out there and we built the TIE fighter in that one. Just straight out, man. Just started taping stuff, build one. And then, no, it was an X-Wing. We built the X-Wing. The TIE fighter was the other one, the first one we did. So then I built two of them, man, just out of empties and for another display and a save-on. It was really awesome. Better late than never, man. Right on, Joe. Yeah, we're just talking shit, man. We were talking Ravs earlier. Yeah. Did a whole bunch of jobs, man. I owned the cabinet shop for a while. My family owned a cabinet shop. Really good with math, man. Do it in my head faster than people can write it down sometimes. They're doing it every day. You're dealing with fractions all the time, and then you know what I mean? You hit radiuses and stuff like that. A lot of the geometry is, man, pretty easy if you know what you're doing. So Yeah, built cabinets, big displays, man, all kinds of cool stuff. So I actually had to transition out of that into what I'm doing now. So I just barely, you guys know, sold my table saw not that long ago with my dad's table saw. I had to sell my pocket cut machines, man. I got a whole bunch of sanders for a whole bunch of different things, very specific processes that go on in woodwork, man. All those days of all that stuff going up in your nose, man. Can't wear a mask because it rides into your eyes and you can't see your saw blade. Yeah, no thank you for that. Yeah. Total different industry. Total different industry, man. Oh, well, he was telling you which power source to use. It was on Amazon. 300-watt AC flyback power source. Yeah, it was real simple, man. He says buy the Chinese version that comes in 220, and all you do is flip the switch to go to 110. And it's in that power source that it's making this thing. Let me just tell you that right now. It's 100% in the power source where it's taking care of the process. The second part is his anode that he's using. Not visible with the naked eye. Yeah, you get them real small, man. 5 watts, that's a lot less power. Yeah, I could tell you right now, man. I've been doing AC and DC flybacks, and I can tell you they don't put out the energy you think they do. Not in any way. They work differently. Getting somebody to understand that, man, is like pushing a boulder up hills. They just can't get past the name of them. They think that's what they do, and it's not at all what they do. Even when they build them, they still get it wrong. They can see 100% what they're building. Let's see. You worked a small batch production of woodworking, marine, and protective coatings, then distributed. Nice. If you want to join, Joe, I'll send you the link right now. Yeah, Tammy, I love those things, man. When you can put in like black behind it and then clear over top of it, it was literally the best thing that you could do. Like when we did it, we do the you're cutting it. You take your router and you cut this groove in it, right, all the way down, and you cut the 3 lines in there, right, and then you fill them in with the black, and then you sand everything again so the black was perfectly inside those things, and then you shoot the whole thing with clear, right, and it just built out beautifully, man. So you get this very good looking what was it? We were using maple, a clear maple, and you get these lines cut in it that were black. Man, coolest look ever. Okay. Dude, Darren, right on, brother. Thank you for taking care of me, man. Thank you for taking care of the audience, man. 5 Old Men Builds memberships, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. There's a conversation with Joe and I on there that I put up today. 100% worth it. 100% worth it. Let's see. Do I have any give me 1 second. There we go. There you go, man. I gifted 5 more. You guys be hooked up, man. Right on, Darren. Thank you for starting that, man. I appreciate it. Really cool. Yeah, I love working on this stuff, man. I love working on things with my hands. I don't have hands that are prissy, man. They're all tore up. Every last one of them has scars on it from working. So, right on, guys. What's up, Joe?
Oh, speak of the devil, and he shall arrive. What's going on, everybody?
Oh, man. Dude, I put that conversation there on the membership thing, Joe.
I saw you put it up. Man, if that doesn't change the game,
Oh yeah.
if that doesn't change the game. Did you see what I sent you on Facebook after that?
Yeah, you sent me the picture of it working in the different. I saw the ball lightning come, not ball lightning, but the Rab come out. I didn't really see what you were looking for.
So, so right. So that little reflection thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Well, it did a very interesting thing for a reflection. It recombined with the Rav ball and then reacted as it absorbed into it when it was getting turned off. I was like,
Okay,
oh no, oh no.
Did you slow it down on that video you sent me? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I was thumb scrolling it frame by frame almost.
Oh my god! I remember seeing it live. We saw it, but I tried to pull it up a little earlier and didn't see it. Let me grab it off of the one you shared. So hold on that.
So I'm backing it up and then forwarding it again, so you can see it a bunch of times. So it's there. Now it's turning off soon. It's going to be turning off.
And we're looking for the reflection in the back, right? What looks like a reflection?
No. Look at the floating orb, the reflection thing.
Okay.
Right? The thing that we say is a lens reflection. Look at what it does.
Yeah, it pulls back into it.
Pulls back into the orb, and then when it
right
touches,
there.
it goes boop.
There it is.
And
right
it flashes.
Sorry, I put the little pause thing over it. It's in it right there. Yep.
Ever see a reflection suck back into its source before? I've been looking at reflections on water and stuff like that. I never saw the reflection of the trees suck into the trees.
No. Dude, look at that. You go back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, definitely building out like you said it did.
Weird.
Yeah, Gerald told me again it wasn't ball lightning. So, but then it's not named ball lightning, it's named Rav.
Yep. Respect the process.
So, no, I think he did, man. He just see it. He built it a specific way, and I think that's what he's looking at. And I can appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. Yanni says, which changed your name. Great, thanks for that. At least you left the your logo the same. He says, yep, not a reflection in the normal sense.
no.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's why it's dark. That's why when it flickers, it doesn't get lighter. It's when it pulses and grows, it doesn't pulse or grow, but yet it stays totally relative rather, to the orb itself. And there was no movement of the camera that would have changed the position of it that drastically as it was powering down. And then you could literally see it fall on top of it, into it, and then go poof, and then it flashes. And then it goes away. Then the whole thing goes away, because once that goes into it, whatever our little thing is there, once that goes into it, that's the end of it. It's completely destabilized at that point. So
yeah, let's take a look at it again. How you described it. So we see it. Here it is on the outside of it. Now it's going to suck back into it. There it goes, right there. Look at that. It like builds out. And there's no question that's what it's doing.
oh yeah. It doesn't act like a like a lens flare, because it's not a lens flare.
Huh. Well, hold on, we got this one. You can see the green growing in and out.
Mm-hmm.
It's pulsing. This is what we were talking about before when we were talking about it on that video.
Yep.
And you can see each layer. Look around each ring of that on that. I don't know if you want to call it the fourth dimensional object back there with the green in the center. You notice how it's super dark around each ring and then it gets really bright to the outside again?
You know what that is, bro? That's the black hole sun, man. Won't you come? Won't you come? That is the black hole sun.
Huh.
That is the other side of the rad.
It's so cool, man.
Did you talk about the pulsing earlier? I missed the beginning.
Yeah, we were talking about the pulsing of it, man, and how this thing builds out. We literally see it. I couldn't find the screenshot of it, man, where it birthed out of the other one, where you saw that little piece come out and it just went bloop, and then it formed two balls and pulled apart.
Mm-hmm.
It literally did it right outside of it, man, which is, I got to find that again and put it up and put it in slow-mo for people.
Yeah, so hate to beat the dead horse if Nathan already talked about it, but
Go for it.
I realized with the pulsing that what we're observing is pulsing, okay, and we're right about it. Compression and expansion, right? But that's based on our observations. What I realized is the fields that are in play and the method in which it's using, okay, and it's lending itself to upper dimensionality. So you have a 4D object that's coming in and out of our 3D space. And as it does so, it's growing as it comes closer to its greatest diameter. Okay. And then that's when it flashes. Then, as it's going back, it shrinks. So it's tethered to the third dimension by the anode mostly, and then the cathode. So it's not going anywhere, but what it's doing is it's oscillating in and out of the third dimension, which is the pulse of the growing and and shrinking, and that is the mechanism in play here. That only when the centermost part of it, where the highest potentials are, can the charge be emitted in any way, and that shows us the flash of light. So when you look around the center and you wonder why this ball that is 10 times brighter than the middle of an incandescent bulb that you can't look at, right? 10 times brighter, is putting out almost relatively no light to its ambient environment, except for on the pulse, in which you get a flash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole entire idea here. The thing is that center, or what's around the center, is what's kind of lighting it. There's just so you're able to see the light, but it's not truly a full emission because it's being condensed in, because it's not here. It's actually there, wherever the fuck there is.
Well, I was going to say right here, we're mentioning that you can see it on your scope. So Sean did a test, and he found out in his little testing apparatus that they were rotating, which we can obviously see the sphere, so we knew something was going on. So he says they are rotating, and the frequencies are matching the rotation. Okay, they're also different frequencies each layer is what he came out with. Okay, what was the last one that he said? Oh man, I don't want to say this. The frequencies would go into coherent and distortion, then coherent, and then distortion as they rotated. Exactly like resonance does. It built out, it cut off, built out, cut off. It's building out the same way on his oscilloscope as it did in there.
And that device, and paired with the oscilloscope, is producing some phenomenal results that are exactly consistent with what we proposed, because everything is absolutely equal for the most part and consistent as far as its waveform is concerned, but it's ever so slightly out of phase, and that's exactly what you would expect. Because of the different parts involved. Really, really remarkable stuff. It's all coming together big time, and
fast too.
fast. And the more we make sense of it, the more parts of physics that we're not trying to pull anything extra into this. It was enough as it is. But then once you start to really get to the root cause of everything that's going on, it's starting to pull other parts of physics into it. That's like, and here that is too.
Yeah.
This shows it. It shows it all.
While we have you here, explain the worm. So I'll put it up for you real quick.
Yeah.
Explain what that was.
Cool. So what this is, okay, is first of all, there's a couple of defects that are occurring, that are telltale of this type of experiment. Okay, and one of those so-called defects would be like the little buddy, I'll call it, the little planet moon guy that forms the small RAV next to the big one. Okay, now what that does is it creates, because it's non-orbiting, okay, it creates almost like a tidal pull on where it locks in on the large RAV. Now, where that locks in for our purposes, it's a thickening at that point and a thinning opposite the point. Now, what that creates is an asymmetrical internal toroidal geometry that creates torsion on the plasma filaments that are compressed inside. That torsion basically corkscrews the filaments, okay, leading to what they call a kink defect. Okay. Once you have the kink defect, it'll just continue to compress in that way, building the pressure inside. Now, ironically, the RAV could generally hold a good amount of pressure inside of it because of the forces at work. Okay, but because of that, the same mechanism which it created, that little ball on the outside, okay, that thin layer greatly reduces the amount of pressure it could sustain without something escaping. Okay, so the same mechanism that caused the twisting and the compression, the overpressurization, also produced a path for it to escape out of sooner as an ejecta. It gets ejected. It's literally etheric plasma that reaches like a high density state when it settled down. Did that, but here's the thing: because of the upper dimensionality of it and the idea of where it came from, there's entanglement at play. Okay, so despite the magnetic field that particular experiment took place in, and despite all the forces at work that should be extraordinarily prohibitive of anything entering that outer shell, okay, that was able to actually re-enter the shell through that entanglement. And reabsorbed in and just probably stabilized in a certain way. Now, what's interesting and implicative of this was my initial gut was I was like, nice, something extra dimensional just popped out of our damn wormhole that we created, and this is strange, and we don't know what this is. And honestly, if it were to go further, I don't really know what else would jump out of that wormhole, and this was kind of scary. That was my initial thought. Like, I'm not going to lie, and I didn't really like that thought. Then I found through my research, right, the explanation of it, which makes total sense. And then it's like, okay, cool. But then you discover the whole, the whole compression and expansion thing. Realize that the thing is coming in and out of 3D environments and actually exist wholly and fully in a 4D space-time. And then you realize that, okay, yeah, it's explained. However, the first thing was true too. Yeah. So it's both true. Yep. Which is just super weird.
Yeah. That's freaky, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Stuff up, man. Look at that. Remember we were talking about that too right there, Joe? How you could see it going out to the little one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this thing is awesome, man.
Now, there's other experiments, and I don't have the videos readily available to just show them right now at this moment. Okay, but there's other experiments that show when the plasma itself is building out like this, right? It'll actually light up very specific points continuously. All right. And I think that that isn't something that we fully explored yet, but that could well be these consolidated external charges. Also, if they were left long enough, probably ability to stabilize and also fall into the same lock formation with the main RAB itself, like planets. And that's similar to like thunderstorm generator and other types of evo reports where you have evo stabilization that occurs in like nooks and crannies, like little geometric formations and surface layers, where it could actually get accelerated based on the geometry, which is actually something that we saw when Sean was experimenting with the salt rock, right? Like that thing was looking around, it doesn't want to form anything, and the only thing that it would form was something unstable but similar, and what formed was only in the context of when it could wrap itself in some type of geometry that would induce it into some kind of flipping motion like that. So it would have to find like the little nook curve, and then it would get stuck in there and try its best to stabilize. It's crazy, how it literally feels around.
Yeah. I think it's this one, Joe, where we can see it coming out of it. I just can't find the spot. I don't remember where it was. Anyway, yeah, you can see it, man. Clear as day. We got something special going on here.
Okay, well, do you see that too? Do you see when that reflection, so to speak, lines up perfectly on top of the sphere? Anytime that happens, the thing frigging discharges or pops. That's because it's collapsing. That reflection thing, maybe the reflection's the mechanism in which you're able to see it. Okay, but it's there is the point. And that's strange. See, now it's off of it. It's starting to build.
So where was it right before? Oh, it was still there right behind. I see it right behind it.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
it's still right behind it. Okay.
And it's still there just a little bit.
Yeah, but the RAB also hasn't fully collapsed.
Now, right here, it's not so much behind it. It's showing a dark space.
Yes, it is. A round dark space with two lines running through it.
And then as soon as you change the next frame, it starts to show out the colors of it.
It does, and it's there, but now it's behind. It's appearing to be behind the electrode at that point, which shouldn't ought to happen. In fact, it should never be behind the electrode if it's a reflection.
Yeah, right. It's clearly behind the purple.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow,
yeah, man. High strangeness.
Look at that, though. It tells, look at all the colors in it.
Well, if you screenshot some things and you send it to me, and I could screenshot, if you pause, I could screenshot a couple too. I could do my enhancements on it, and then you'll be able to see exactly what colors are within it.
Let me find a good one. Let me look real quick. Find a real bright one.
Which you can see it's like pink around. It looks like pink and yellow.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull this one and go to the other one because I think we're going to get a better shot of it. Yeah, because you see the colors now?
Yeah, so I've done this before. I sent them to you, but I'll do it again too.
There you go. That one right there. Because you could see distinct colors in the little guy and the main center.
Yeah. Here, I'll grab that one. All right. I mean, the one thing that does come to mind, though, like with it, is that if we're able to see it only as a result of the interaction with the lens, okay, even if it's not just a reflection, like a simple reflection, the lenses generally do have some type of coating, and often those coatings, like polarization coatings, are those exact colors, like green and red or purplish. Like if
Gotcha.
you've ever looked at a pair of glasses that have a coating on them. But
Let's take a look real quick. I'll remove this. And I will put it.
oh yeah,
You can see all the colors. Yeah, you can see the circles inside. Is that a dot in the center?
it's hard to tell because like the anode
It's right there.
is running right through it. Which is a whole other thing. Like reflections, like you can't run an object through a reflection. And that reflection is clearly behind the emanation of the initial RAV. You could see that the RAV is brighter on the bottom there, and it's overlying that, and that it's actually behind there. So that's, that's not a reflection.
Look at the spots on the outside right here. So the left and right, it's all dark in a line on both sides. It's like a plane. It's weird.
Well, I think that might be the edge of the plate.
It's the edge of the plate?
I think that's the edge of the plate if you zoom out. Yeah.
Then that might make more sense.
Yeah. So you have the cross in the middle, but one's an anode and one's the edge of the plate, I think. But what's definite is that the light of the RAV is in front of it, and that the anode is through it, and that's not how reflections work.
Yeah.
That's not how reflections work, because it's not a reflection.
Okay, let me put the other one back up. Let me see if I can find one where it's off center. Okay, right there. Let me screenshot that real quick.
Not to mention, it shouldn't be moving either if it's a reflection when your camera's on a tripod.
Yeah. These things are not working exactly like they say.
Oh.
Let's see. Can't really see inside of it now. The green gas is a little bit too high right there.
Yeah. And it's perfectly mirrored. Perfectly mirrored.
Yeah.
If that does, it's a yin yang. Look, it's literally a yin yang. Do you see it? Stop. Don't move. I want to screenshot that. Okay. That's literally a yin yang. And you actually have the light from the RAV wrapping in the opposite direction.
Oh. Whoa. Hold on. We see that yin yang symbol wrong, don't we?
I don't know. That's kind of how I see it. It's just very insane to see it like this.
Yeah, well, they had to see something, man. Now we're seeing what they're seeing. Yeah, that's amazing, man.
The whole thing is incredible. The whole thing is incredible.
Yeah, we're seeing totally. That's what I'm saying, dude. The thing with ball lightning is you can't see all this. You know what I mean? We're seeing something inside of it.
Yeah. What's up, Gerald?
Joe was asking what the camouflare. What does he mean? Like,
Well,
is it like
he's thinking that it's camera flare the same as we initially thought, And now nobody here saying that it's not visible due to the lens and the sensor, okay? But it doesn't act like camera flare, okay? I mean, I have had many high-end cameras, and I know exactly what camera flare is, what it does and what it doesn't do. I refreshed my memory again when I started seeing this and realizing that this wasn't acting in the normal fashion. And the fact is that like it doesn't follow the path of a camera flare whatsoever.
It's when it sucked back into itself, man, is when it kind of that notion.
Yeah, I don't think you saw that one.
Yeah, I think he did.
Oh, okay.
Because it sucked right back into it, man. That yeah. Let me see if I got it right here. It was oh man, I'm looking at the wrong ones now. Okay.
That's the worm.
That's the worm. Yeah, that might just be the worm all the whole time. Yeah, because you were doing slow motion on that one.
Yeah, back and forth, worm. Which, by the way, the worm was non-luminescent, which is just a whole nother story.
Yeah, so it's built out from it. There was a worm.
Yeah.
Now it's going to suck it back in. Huh. I don't know.
Yep. I don't know. Yeah, when I slowed it down and you can actually see it recombine and then flash when it comes into it, that's where it's like, oh. And as soon as that flash happens, plasma blast. Like, and then it's done because he was turning it off. That's the whole point. It only collapsed in because he was turning it off.
Let's see if we can catch that moment. Oh, hold on. Look,
the video I sent you you caught it.
Oh, look at what we got here. Hold on. Look, bottom left. You see the little one?
Yep.
It's still there. Look at the little ring around it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that? So hold on. Let me see if I can't get a better picture of it. There's a little ring still around that little guy. I don't think we saw before.
Actually, where it was looks like a dark spot. Yeah, Gerald. Yeah, we have it's not an electrostatically influenced hair though. Like it's literally a plasma defect that we were able to identify, and a cause of it being secondary. So there's more than one explanation of the worm guy.
So you see it right there, the purple around it. You get all the reddish.
Mm-hmm.
Then it builds around that little spot, same spot.
Yeah, the purple's where that satellite was.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Go back to the video. It sucked back in.
Yeah. Damn right it does.
Look at that one. Here it goes. Boom, right back into it. Hold on, but where's it going to and from?
It's going to and from the exact spot opposite the satellite, because that's the thin spot, like I told you. So the satellite is pulling the thickness of the outer wall, so to speak, right? Thicker in that one spot, asymmetric internal torsion. It twists the filaments. That adds to the compression, reduces the ability of the sphere to hold that compression. The weak spot is directly opposite the satellite, and that's where it jumps out. and because it's entangled, it actually jumps back in.
So you could see the hole in the ball almost at the top, right?
Mhm.
It's a little
You could
deformed,
you could see that there's a pull.
and you can see it'll come down right to the right of it. Yeah, you could see where it's going from and to right there.
Yeah, and it goes right back in the same exact spot it came out, which is that spot directly opposite the satellite, for the same reasons that I told you. I mean, listen, we could have hair jump in and out of orbs. That's pretty cool. I don't care what it is, but I mean, again, there's science that explains this. I was able to find all the work on it that explains it. It's a known phenomena, so it's not hooey booey bullshit, you know. And the good news is that it's all that in order for this to occur in the first place, all of the implications that we've been suggesting that this is have to be in line in order for that this type of defect to even occur.
Yeah, what's crazy, okay, so hold on. In order for that to be welding melt on the outside, that little guy, it would have to form in different places all the time. When you weld, it splashes, and it splashes out those little balls out there, and it creates it everywhere. This is in the exact same spot every time.
Yeah,
That's the
welding.
problem.
Well, listen, I took welding in school for 2 years every single day, and welded plenty after that. The fact is, welding melt doesn't lock into position with your arc and then follow it the fuck around. It doesn't.
No,
do
it
that.
doesn't.
It doesn't do that. It never does that. It doesn't. It's not a
It
thing.
splashes. It splashes the hot metal and sends it everywhere. Yeah, it's slag.
Yeah,
So,
and it gets stuck or it'd be a little bead on that you brush
Yeah.
off when you're done or whatever. But like the whole point is, it's not following anything. It's not even staying in a liquid state once it's out of the arc zone. It's just solidifying. That thing is not doing any of that. That thing's still glowing the whole entire duration,
Yeah.
locked position. The position that it's locked in the diameters are actually proportional to the relative size between the small sphere, the big sphere is
Oh, yeah.
1/3. Yeah, this follows it follows the rules.
I'll be very
It
honest
follows
with
the
you, man.
rules. So
I thought it was welding slag in the beginning too, but when you look at where geometrically it puts itself, there's no way.
and
Dude.
almost every time you only get one little. It's never more than one so far. I'm sure it could be eventually, but right now it's only one, and it's an instability. By the way, it's not good for the system.
When you got crappy welds like I did in the beginning, man, they just go everywhere. That stuff is freaking all over the
Good
place.
spraying
Okay?
everywhere for real.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you can think what you want, man. I've spent countless hours looking at the videos and I'm not saying that I'm 100% right about the things that I say, but at the same time, it's certain like one thing I can say is that it's certainly not following any of your suggestions. So, that's the one thing I can say, is not that I'm right, but is that what you're saying is definitely is not the case. And, I'd give you the credence where credence is due, I always do. But yeah.
Yeah. Magneto Franco, remember I believe I just sent this to Sean because he asked me to link them. His is actually when he did his, it was different colors because he had put a magnet next to it, and it changed the colors quite a bit when he did his. Yeah, that wasn't slag in the way that we normally see slag. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, Yanni says, does it grow like the forks? Not sure. Just before the center. I mean, that's not a clear question to me. I'm not going to lie, but when you say the forks, like a lot of times when the RAV is first forming, it still has it still has extra like tendrils, like arcs kind of reaching out and feeling, they're pulled in and they're next to the RAV before they fall into cycle. So, if that's what you're referring to, I've actually taken a few shots. I can't tell whether it's coming off of that or not because of the angles of the shots. But, it could be coming off of one of the tendrils that exist when the RAV is to the side before it fully forms at that very kind of moment.
So here's
That's-
Magneto's right here.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, he's got his own thing going on, man. Building it out. Yeah, you can see different colors in there, man. And it's building out the same ways. It's interesting. Huh.
Well, a lot of times, like yellow plasma is indicative of nitrogen. That's a lot of times how that builds out. Which obviously, if you're doing it in atmosphere, you're going to have plenty of that. Atmosphere is mostly nitrogen.
Yeah, the fact that this thing's in open air doing this is absolutely amazing. There's no getting around that. What you're seeing right there, man, is open air testing. It's not confined where you can't see it and you're just looking at the slag later on. You know what I mean? It's a relationship between your anode and cathode. That's always what it is.
The exploitation of the properties of the clay acting as a membrane that's letting everything you need through and nothing that you don't want through, blocking that out. That's exactly what the clay is acting as. And that's acting as your medium phase differential. Okay. And it's exploiting the same exact types of intermediate properties, but it's doing it by drawing it out of the clay and after it's stabilized in its plasma form, because hydrogen, in any sense of the word, in proximity to something like a super hot arc, okay, is not generally an advantageous situation to be in, unless if you're doing it exactly this way.
Hold on, Joe. Let me go back to the other thing real quick. In order to have slag splash, okay, number one, you can't weld clay. Okay. Number two, the anodes is completely intact when we're done. So you're not getting the effect of the ball building up on the end of the anode and creating this effect. It's intact 100%. There's no loss in it. There's no ball on it. There's no drippage from it. So it can't be slag splash no matter what you do because you cannot weld the clay. Now there might be some iron content in the clay, but it's not going to give you a big slag out of it. Not like that. That would have to be a lot more iron.
Well, I mean, you technically could melt the clay. And there's certainly a certain degree of that going on. Especially at first, when it wasn't efficient, it was the arc was just running and running and running and running. And then the RAV was collapsing continuously. That puts a lot of heat, and that was cause of a lot of the motion. But if you notice something, the RAVs aren't moving like they were 2 weeks ago. Okay, they're not doing that jiggle dance as much.
Let me tell you how this works, because when you spark up that high voltage, your anode will destroy itself before you can even make a dent in the clay.
And that's true.
So
I've ripped through tungsten anodes fast just by fucking up a little bit. You round the tip, melt it out, then you just get a diffuse blur of energy, and that's it.
See,
then it's over.
This is where it goes from the Sapphire project to what we're doing here. Is you used an anode here that's not being destroyed. In the Sapphire project, every last one of them just about destroyed. And they're looking at the interaction of the destroyed anode.
Well, but that's because they're having the hydrogen reaction, if I'm not mistaken, directly off the cathode, because it's all cathodic hydrogen off of a nickel ball. and they're just they just did the most, like, in my opinion, the most dumb redneck shit, like, in order to figure out how to extract the energy, because in their mind the best way to extract the energy was to actually use a conductor in the middle of the reaction, which is the wildest, stupidest way to possibly do this. You want to be able to induct the, pulsing off of it is what you want. Like, anything else is just a total waste, you know.
Not just that, it's what Sean says about the anode as you do this. You see, it's room temperature when he's done. This is where the confusion comes in. It's not a bazillion degrees. It's not red hot. It is literally room temperature where you can go over and touch it. And this only happens when you have it in a perfect resonance state. When you can take your spark gap and drop it from 250 degrees down to room temperature, then it's correct. You're in perfect resonance. Okay. That's only happens when you do this. And that's the only way that anode survived. Okay. Bottom line, it has to be that way. And whatever energy builds out of it, builds out of it. Whatever heat's there is heat's there, right? Which he says is a ton. But at the degrees he's talking about, it would have melted that anode right away if you were not in the perfect resonance. I can tell you that 100%
Absolutely.
fact.
Like, even if you have, let's say that is 1 centimeter in diameter. Let's just say, okay, if you have a spot that's 1 million degrees,
Yeah.
okay, and that 1 million degree spot is equidistant to its diameter from your anode. If your temperature isn't separated out and condensed and held in a complete insulative state, you'd be vaporizing everything around you. It wouldn't just be the anode, it would be everything around you, because that much heat density, even spread out ambiently through regular entropic processes, would immediately vaporize everything in that immediate proximity, period, hard stop. That's it.
And Sean said he couldn't use his thermal camera on this. It wouldn't show it. It was too high of a temperature.
Well, not to mention, it's also using a laser to try to measure it. It's probably not letting the laser light out of the fucking thing either.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I said that when I did the energy to matter conversion. As soon as you take a sphere and put what you think is a laser into it, good luck. The energy is way too high.
You're not going to get, that's going to take the laser light. And if it doesn't fully absorb the energy from it entirely, it's going to disperse it amongst it, wrap it up, and never return the signal. So
Yeah.
it does, like, there's no chance for that thing to get a reading. You can't get a temperature reading on this. The best you could do is see what your surface temperatures are like, maybe on the clay.
Yeah.
That's the best you could do.
If the thermal cam's not picking it up, man, you have to pick it up right after the event. And honestly, that'd be tell all right there, because you'd see your anode not hot. And you would see the clay. It's not hot either, dude. I blasted mine with a ungodly amount of voltage, and it's not hot.
Right. So the thing is hot enough to melt clay, or singe clay, vaporized clay, carbonized clay, whatever you want to think about. Okay. So it's that hot, and everything else in the ambient environment is perfectly fine. Okay. You could see it with your own eyes. There's nothing up in, there's other stuff that would catch or melt, and it's not. Okay. And the idea here is, you ever light up a wood stove or something like that, and you get the thing to 600-700 degrees, how close to that wood stove do you get before you become wildly uncomfortable?
Yeah.
And that's at 500, 600, 700 degrees.
Yeah, but okay, so when Bob Grenier shows it in his pictures, by the way, and he's talking about the ball lightning, he's got the swirl effect and whatever's in there, right? Whatever the metal is, or the part that he's showing. Here's the thing: you have to remember you're changing the actual fields of compression. We're using an energy state. He's using a physical state of metal. When you do that, the metal itself takes on the heat. Okay. In this case, when we use the fields themselves, it does not. It has a balance to it. There's a big freaking difference in how that slide comes out.
There's the balance is exactly what you said. So and it is exactly what we said. It is a build state of charge building up, that starts the reaction, a zoning state where it's pulling opposites and then kind of falling into their own place. Once those density levels are high enough, there's a chase. That's your rotational state. That rotational state, once it picks up enough, creates a magnetism that creates a vortex. We have screenshots of the parabolic motion and swooshing over of the outer plasma field, which is it forming that vortex state and then simultaneously collapsing into a toroidal state. It's right at that point that the densities build in that stabilization and the temperatures ramp up at that point. Okay, especially if it's still feeding. But that's where the temperature ramp up is because the density levels are just not that high to get those types of temperatures in those diffuse states. And it's the mechanism of the compression that brings the temperature up by orders of magnitude. So even though you have the density levels higher, the then compression of that density further is ultimately, where that temperature is going to go up. So it's like, but for this, not for that. It's this exact process that is the cause of the next, and then your result. And that's it. It doesn't jack up in the temperature until it collapses into the sphere.
So I think Jared was asking, where's the vortex? Well, see, this is a misunderstanding of geometry that most people won't understand. When you go through a vortex through a laser, you're going around it in order to hold it in. Okay. And it's going like this, literally, like energy around a wire. But you're changing the dimension of it. You're changing it to a 360-degree sphere. Now that same motion's still going on, but now it's vortexing in a sphere with another vortexing sphere around it.
But
That's the difference.
Right. So it does actually go into this very, very brief, because it immediately collapses, but it goes into this very brief actual vortex stage. That's it's a vortex that's like a diamond, kind of like the center of the torus, just in reverse. So what ends up happening is it ends up swooping up and then over, and then that pinches the ends, and then it collapses. The ends collapse into each other. And we have screenshots of a couple of instances in formation where the purple plasma layer, that's actually visible in it, starts wrapping up around the dark zone. And that's exactly it. It literally goes from flat on the surface of the plane building up, and it builds up in layers, and you can see the density layers that exist, and then as soon as, and it's in that it's already in that rotational zone where you could see that there's a definite rotation to it, and then that one edge will just swoop up, and I've seen it. And we have the screenshots of it. And once that edge swoops up, that is the formation, and that is the vortex.
Yeah. And by the way, we see it in there when you have it vortexing and it doesn't close it all the way, you get that beam of light that comes out of it. That's where it comes out of it, because that's the point on both sides where it makes the rotation. You know what I mean? And then if it's not sealed all the way, boom.
Now, Sean measured with the device that it's very, very consistently an average of like 1 kilohertz or something like that. I think he said it was something like that, or 100 kilohertz. Now, what's weird is, okay, now mind you, frame rate being a major issue. Okay, as I was just like counting pulses and checking time stamps, pulses, timestamps, the pulse rate of it was extraordinarily consistent at 1 pulse per second. Okay. And every so often it would actually accelerate And it seemed kind of in sequence as to when this would happen, but it never went past like between it never went past 2 pulses per second. It was like more than just slightly more than 1.5 pulses per second for a small duration, maybe 2-3 flashes, and then back to 1.
So you're
And
getting the
then
beat
it's
frequency out
consistent
of
at
it.
1.
Yeah, you're hitting the beat frequency.
So
That's a very low
it's at
home
1.
frequency.
So basically, the rate of the pulsation, as far as I could tell, was 1 hertz.
Wow. Okay, real quick. Magneto sent some pictures. I'm gonna pull them up real quick, Joe, because they're fascinating to see, man. I love this stuff. Take a look at that.
Oh yeah, that's Magneto again.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I checked out some of his stuff, man. It was right on.
Yeah, you can see the swirl in it, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing that damn well pops out. That's the ghost worm. It's in there.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same process, but I still think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a video here. Can you see the video?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's wild looking.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. See, he's got a different view of it. Oh, you can see the slag on the end of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting out a very diffuse current out of that.
That's so cool. The colors it produces. Oh, I like that.
It does.
Oh, yeah, you can see that tip. Look at it lit up.
But the mechanism of that spiral is exactly the same as the point. If you have an asymmetric compression and a spiral in the center, a spiral pattern that's occurring, you could still actually get those. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be in it's never going to escape under those circumstances or solidify, be a lesser density, but the visualization of the plasma formation in that regard would be the same mechanism, of an asymmetric balance of the organization process.
Well, see, what Gerald was talking about, I would expect to see the tip that I just saw on what Gerald was talking about, because that would make sense, right? Because you see the rounded end of it, how it melted and then went back into itself. I've had them just drop off because they get so hot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you see that. There was none of that going on with Sean.
Yeah, man. That's
in his Campanzi's coil. I don't know how to say. I keep ruining that word.
What's that?
Kapanazis.
Yeah.
I always get that word wrong, man. I can never say that word. Kapanadze. I don't know how that's pronounced. Kapanzi, Kapatzi. I don't know.
You got it right. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, man. But very cool stuff. It's like I said, and it's no disrespect to Gerald either. We're all entitled to the opinions and whatnot. I've agreed with him till I'm literally blue in the face about most things, but Sean is doing the experiments, Nathan's doing it. We're all looking at the footage, doing analysis and everything like that, and also doing sidebar research too, not to validate things that we think, but to figure out what it is, and what it is that we're seeing. So if we're wrong, that tends to that's okay. We're just looking for the answer, to very hyper specific questions sometimes. And what we end up finding is that when we find the one answer, you could look around at the rest of the situation that's occurring and then point to all the other things that's in implication of what you found. So
Yeah.
like the ghost worm, for instance, like, I find, like, I'm like, well, what, like, different types of plasma discharges. I'm like trying to look for like plasma ejectas and stuff. Stumble across like ejecta that looked all screwy. Okay, cool. Look, it's got a name. Okay, look, there's these studies. Okay, read the studies. Reports from every university that you can imagine, lab testing, etc., conditions in which it's formed. And then you start to realize that it's like due to an instability. Then I start looking into the other thing, with the ball that's floating around. That's another known thing. Another instability causes this, that, the next thing could cause ejecta. Wait a second, connection. Had ejecta, had the ball. Wait a second, it popped out opposite the ball. Wait a second, it's saying that it's thicker on one side, thinner on another. It's saying that it causes a central instability. Wait, what caused the kink defect? Oh, a central instability. Wait a second. Now all of a sudden you have all these components that go and show you that. Now what does that imply? Well, when do these things even occur? They only occur when what we are saying is happening in lab testing under much different protocols, okay,
Yeah.
to create it. Much different protocols to create it. So nobody here is saying, well, this is the first time this has ever been done. Oh, well, that's certainly not the case. This is the first time I've ever seen that it's been able to be done in atmosphere. And that is the thing. That is the thing.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just going to say it, Joe. When you start changing the experiment a little bit and you start changing the difference in your magnetodielectric effect, it all looks a little bit different, but it's all still the same process. I'm sorry, it just is. The way you create it, how it's done, it's all the same process. I don't give a crap if it's a thunderstorm generator or this. It's still creating the same way. You're still causing resonance in spheres in one way or another, and it's still creating compression, and it's still creating the energy the same way. You didn't change the mechanism. You
Nope.
just all you did was confine it differently. That was it.
Exactly. And that's why the clay, and the fact that the clay is a little porous and can hold both water but also charged hydrogen and act as a barrier in that regard, and also act as you know uh, uh an insulator to prevent the anode from penetrating into the full on negative charge, to because that would destroy it, right?
Yeah.
Like, all that's doing in that sense is acting as the water in the um thunderstorm generator, because it's water dependent, because you need the water to make the bubbles, to hold the bubbles, and they need to hold long enough in expansion and compression in a charge state in order to turn into a plasmoid, okay, which
Mhm.
is what pops out when the bubble pops. It's the stabilization of it being able to be held open in an open state, okay, without, like, in an isolated state. And that's exactly what the clay provides. Its bubbles are just the porous nature of the material, and the phase differential is the fact that it's a solid that's wicking up gases and water. So it's serving the same exact function.
Yeah, I just think it's funny, man. You can't say anything's ball lightning. I'll be very honest with you. You cannot conclusively say that anything is ball lightning when it's inside of glass, it's inside of a sphere, okay,
Nope.
or anything else. If it's not in open air sitting out in front of you, you can't classify it as ball lightning, okay? And then what is you got to classify it all as a freaking plasmoid. And when you get down to it, that's all they are that we're building out, okay? Whether it's in open air, which, by the way, proves my point of everything I've ever told you about the gravity flyer field. Just have to throw that out there. But yeah, because you're still confining it. When you create it inside a glass, you still can put a barrier around it that pulled the atmosphere out.
Now,
That is flat out what you did.
now, with like stuff like thunderstorm generator and stuff where they actually see little ball lightning skipping about, two things are important to realize. First of all, it's skipping about on the charged surface, okay, in which it was created. Okay, so it appears free, but because it's a larger area, it's still somewhat confined to that particular space. But if you notice, it'll do stupid things like pass right through, despite the fact that it has mass, like metal and such, which shouldn't do, and things of that nature, which is what makes it unique. But this is actually doing the same exact thing. The difference is that the reaction is being confined to a very specific area, and the charge dependence is on the anode, and the anode is in a fixed place. It's not over a surface area of a huge pipe, for instance, right? So
It's the difference.
so it doesn't skip around, but that's not a bad thing. It's not escaping because it's tethered, but it is interdimensionally going in between here and the fourth dimension. But it's tethered. That's the thing. The reason it's not running off is because it's tethered.
Just saying, it's because you're building it. Oh my God, I don't know why people can't see it. I don't know why it screws them up when you start changing different parts of it and you can't see the same thing over and over again. You didn't change how it was built. That's the problem. You still didn't change how it was built. You still had an anode cathode situation. You didn't change a goddamn thing.
Yep, the
Not at
separation's
all.
all there. Everything's all there. It's the exact analog. It's just done a different way.
Yeah. That's the whole problem here. If it was different
At a higher energy level, might I add?
yeah.
A much higher energy level. Nothing else is like the little Skippy ball lightnings. You could fit 100 of them on your pinky nail. Like this thing's the size of your pinky nail. And this is at early stage, like rock and roll and all things being created equal here, man. I already got ideas how to make that thing not the size of your pinky.
By the way, Sean showed a video where he was blasting the side of this thing and you can see all the purple coming out, right? But on the ends, they're forming little balls on every single one of them. And he was asking, hey, would it be like lightning automatically forming it in the atmosphere as part of its process and then it breaks out of that? That might just be what it is. But again, you're still dealing with an anode cathode situation. You still have a magnetic ground and you still have high voltage potential in the top of our atmosphere. You're not changing anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gerald says we'll never contain anything bigger with that setup, and I agree. But that's
He doesn't think it'll get bigger.
That's what we're working on.
He doesn't think it'll get bigger.
You could I think you get it a little bigger, but I think it would, ultimately. I think you need more like what I was originally talking about.
So let me just explain this. Because it's an anode cathode situation, as soon as you put this thing in a vacuum chamber, it becomes huge. It expands everything immediately as soon as you do it. As soon as you put it in the glass that they see theirs in, or you put it in the situation it was in and put it in a vacuum, this thing explodes out. See, because it doesn't have to fight the actual pressure of the earth. When it goes out to the space, it doesn't have to fight it, so it grows way bigger immediately as soon as you do it. That's
my
what the
understanding.
vacuum does.
So I heard something, and it was actually from Dead Fish's documentary that he put on, and it was actually Bob Grenier who said it. Grenier that said it, right? It's basically build one of these, but when you're building it, build it in the middle of a crystal. And evidently, they're saying that when you turn the charge off, it's still there.
It's a freaking node. I told you it's a node. It's the same crap over and over again, man.
Oh, listen,
you build resonance in a node, it'll continue to propagate. Yes, but
evidently that's that's the thing.
Oh my God, this is where science goes backwards. How many things can you name something that is the same process? Well, hold on, let me do this for you. When you want me to build something in a lab and you want me to build it out of high voltage, guess how many different things I can use? There's not many. Okay. And we go down a very short list. Okay. How are they being built? All the same goddamn way. Okay. They're not building any differently. Okay. That's what you start to realize. When you build multiple systems, how are they building the same thing? What'd you do? You put resonance in it. Okay. You flip one to the next. What'd you do? You create a charge state between the anode and cathode. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? This is simple. It's all the same damn thing. It doesn't matter which configuration you put it in.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man. Now, funny thing. So we already know that when you have these types of components in play, and Gerald would easily know this, is that you're dealing with time dilation. All right. Now, here's what's very interesting about this. This is a non-diffuse time dilation. So it's all centric. It's all the same as the light's not coming out, right? But the fact is that there exists in that basically like kind of a portal. And what's strange about this is like, you think, oh, okay, well, if your portal is this big, right? Like that big, or the size of a pinprick or something like that, right? Well, okay, well, that's not a very big portal, but you got to realize something that it's like the example that we gave before. If there's like a small pool with a drain at the bottom, and you were to somehow get sucked through the drain, but then end up immediately, instantaneously in the ocean, that's the thing. Like that is the connection that just brings it to the outer space, so to speak. Which is kind of crazy to think, because that just means that by opening that up a little bit, that it actually has full access to the whole entire thing, not us, but it. And that's what's like, whoa, once you get your head around that idea.
Yeah. It's the, oh God, I don't even want to say it anymore. I'm getting so frustrated right now.
Yeah, don't get frustrated. I don't need to convince anybody anything. Just make it work more. It already works, like, and that's what's funny is, when you find something and you show it and it's like, no, just because that's what we're prone to doing. I've been doing that to this all along, just to not fall on the wrong side of my own opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, no. Like, I'll say things jokingly, but be like, I don't know, man. Well, all right, let's find out what this is. And then the deeper you dive, the more you look, and the more other people's work you look at, you're like, oh, look at this. Oh shit, no, it is what I thought all along. It's just not in the sense that I thought it was. And it's crazy.
No, the comment makes sense. Look, it makes sense because of the way somebody sees something. If you can understand the spheres themselves having a different frequency each level that they go up to, and a drop off in the null zone, and how that works, you'll never see time dilation in it. But that means that you have one specific type you're looking at all the time, and you're not seeing it for what it really is. That's the problem. This is in 360 degrees, so all the BS goes out the window. Like, if you chop this in half, you'll get your little wave for your light. You'll get it, because it'll stop rotating at that point because you cut it in half. It'll just be that little part that you see. Okay, you'll have that. That's not a problem.
The funny thing is, what I believe its full sense to be, you couldn't even cut it in half if you wanted to.
No, of course you can't. But I'm just saying, like, if you were to draw it in 3D, it's going to go from 3D to 2D. That's exactly what you have to do. Okay, but this isn't in 2D. It's not 2 dimensions. We keep seeing the rings around it, and everybody keep thinking in their head, oh, fuck, it's in 2 dimensions. They're just rings. They're fucking rings. It's not rings. They're spheres. It's
well, now if you were lucky enough to get a membership today, or if you have the ability to buy one, and you go into the conversation that Nathan and I had off air, okay, there's this idea, okay, that it's not an idea, it's a fact, right? That anything higher dimensional, okay, can permeate things lower dimensional, but not the other way around. Okay, there's no reverse permeation of dimensionality. What this ultimately kind of means is that the same as you can't see through the walls of a house because there is a house, yet there's something inside the house, but you can't see what's inside the house, right? It's the sort of same deal. But if you were fourth dimensional, you could see everything in the house and everything else for that matter right through it. You know, and you know, so the idea is that it could pass through lower dimensional stuff, but not higher dimensional stuff. So why do we experience time the way we experience it? Well, we're not bending space time. We're pushing it. We're pushing space time out. See, the fourth dimension is beyond Planck's distance. There is no space time in fourth dimension. The whole thing is like as we think about it. That's why space time bullshit as you think about it.
Oh my
It's on the
God.
other side of Planck's distance, the fourth dimension.
I'm literally going to
So
build
what's
a
actually
giant
happening?
with space time written all over it.
Right. So you actually have and I'll put it this way just to keep it simple, okay? Although because it is more complex than this. But you have upper geometries, okay, such as magnetic fields, okay, and their motions. We see them as 4D, but the fact is that they probably reach much further than 4 dimensions. In fact, they're geometries, right? So because the Earth has a magnetic field, okay, it's actually displacing the fourth dimension from the permeation, that we wouldn't that space time would collapse. So it's a displacement. Why? Because 4D space time can't see through 5D magnetic walls. That's why. So how we experience that is a broad spectrum of time based on this level of interaction and diffusion. Because Planck's distance could really only exist, this side of Planck's distance can only exist if that's pushed out. That collapses in, it all collapses in. And so it's like a whole, it's other than how you think. Basically the 3D Earth is protected by 5D magnetism from 4D space-time collapse. And that's sort of it. And I'm using words that are just understandable. It's not really how I see it, but those are the understandable terms.
Oh yeah. Space time. I hate that word.
I know, me too. But I mean, it is what it is. Yes, 5D. No, well, so 4D being like the motion of something within and without, and it gives sort of the pulse of time. It's both in and out at the same time.
It's interdimensional. It's like a ghost. They're in 4D. They're interdimensional. They don't have they're not interacting physically matter like we do. Okay, that's all it means.
That's why, right? That's why when something like comes from that sort of dimension, it can pass through your walls.
Yeah,
it's because the walls don't friggin' matter to it, and frankly, the space or the time it manifests doesn't either. To it,
yeah.
To us, it does because that's the experience.
But not to them
right?
in the fourth dimension.
But to them, it doesn't.
No, see, that's all it is. That wasn't that hard.
Yeah, right. But the magnetism will push it out, and that'll create the slowing of it because it's being pushed out.
If you ever see a throne behind me in that corner, it's this fucking space-time throne where I take a shit. Okay? And I'm gonna have to make a big old emoji that goes up, dude, as soon as somebody says it on the show every time of me taking a dump, because that's what I think about it.
Yeah,
that's the only way I see space-time working in their stupid algebraic want-to-be geometry that they try to use. It's freaking garbage, dude. Just fucking garbage. Okay. Oh, it pisses me off every time I hear it.
Yeah, I feel that.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's the idea. So if you have this thing that's a 4D shape and it's bouncing back between third and fourth dimension in an oscillation because it has this 3-dimensional tether to it, then that explains right there the expansion, the contraction. Because as you well know, when you take something from the upper dimension, bring it into the other dimension, as it moves in and out of our dimension, it would proportionally appear to grow and then shrink depending on the amount of it and what piece of it is in this dimensional space. But the thing to realize is that means that it exists on the other side there too. Ooh, that's where it hurts. That's where it gets crazy.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's why it's different. Yeah. It's because we're seeing it in the experiment. You saw the light. You saw it build out. That's the fourth dimensional object. That's why we're saying it. The other dimensions are pretty simple. There's 3 dimensions. We get it. Okay. But God, man, I'm not pointing freaking Y1 to Y2 to T1 to T2. That's stupid garbage, man. Where's the fucking radius of the sphere? They don't even understand a sphere. It's all circles to them. It's a bullseye. It's never spheres. That's why you can't understand dimensionality. Because
Well,
they write it like just stupid.
just remember one thing. The lens flare, okay, doesn't pulse with the thing that pulses. Okay. And if you could explain that to me, then I'm probably going to understand if it's a good explanation. But you can't explain that to me because that's not how lens flares work. That's not how reflection works. It's not how any of it works. If there's an expansion contraction event at the cause, you see it in the reflection. Just like, if you're looking at a still pond that's reflecting trees and and something falls out of the tree, you see in the reflection it falling out of the tree because that happened. But why doesn't it do it there? It's because what you're looking at isn't the here thing, it's the there thing. You're not looking at the variable here thing, you're looking at the there thing. That's why it's dark. That's why when it flares, it doesn't get brighter. That's why it's not refracting light in each direction as the thing flashes up. That's why there's no analogy to it when it starts to break out into the purple plasma, when it starts to fail a little bit. See, the sphere will start to dissipate at that point, but you won't see the purple plasma flashing out either. And why? Well, because the plasma is here, and that's not what's happening with that reflection thing. Now, I don't understand the mechanism of how the camera is recording that. It seems something that we probably can't through something that I'm yet to understand, and I probably will one day. But like that's the proof in the pudding. The thing is matching it in terms of its motion and movement relative, but it's not pulsing, and it's not a variable or refracting light in any other direction as it flares up to a higher luminescence. So when you could explain that to me, then I'll take the bait on the fact that that's not the 4D object we're looking at. I'll take the bait, if it's a good explanation. Absolutely. Because I don't want to believe it either. It's hard to believe.
Well, you gotta treat it how it acts, not what you can outthink it to be. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. You got to do it based on what you see. Yeah, Papa Bale's got some barbecue going on, is what I see going on in the chat.
Oh, good man. Love that stuff.
Did you see his oh man, this what we just my mind's fried with that space-time crap. He built okay, he built out the U-tron shape, and he did it in a pulse motor.
Right.
So check this out. He took 4 big magnets and put it in the center part of it. And it slams closed, right? And you get the 2 sides to it. And then he put 2 ring magnets, okay, underneath it. And it just hovers over top now. Okay, so there's no bearing or nothing on the bottom there. It hovers and it just fucking spins, dude. And then he did something totally trick. Okay, so check this out. He takes his marker and he goes like this. He goes to put a line in the center, and then he went all the way up, and it totally made that swirl all the way up, dude. That was bitching. He got me with that one. So,
all right, we got a taker. Magneto says that the flare wattage is consistent in comparison to the pulse, creating the RAV, hence why it doesn't pulse, and that its voltage and current varies like the negative resistance to maintain a consistent wattage. I'll have to chew on that a little bit. I mean, I think that the good point, and the one that I considered out of that like the most, is the fact that because it's consistent one to the other, right? But at the end of the day, you would still like you see it on the one side, but not the other. So
Mhm.
that doesn't answer that question. I would agree that that's what I would expect to see, but that's not what the observation is.
Mm.
So that's again that's what I would believe to see, but not what the observation is.
Hmm.
I mean, do we have the best tools and the best footage and the best this? Like we don't, and things like that, could be well a result of that too. There's a lot of different things, but based on what we have, there's video after video, there's certain things consistent. That's one of the consistencies. And yep.
Yeah, better probe. We all need a better probe. Enhance the
Mhm.
probe. Oh, it's so great. Oh, I gotta put me in a better mood, man. Oh, it's like I won't even say it because then I'll be getting another tangent. Ah, some things, man, just make you hyper. It's all right, man. Hey, what's up, Charles? Thank you for becoming a
Yeah,
member on
thanks
the
for
show,
joining,
brother.
man.
Thank
All
you.
right, listen, buddy. I'm gonna call it a wrap for tonight.
All
It's
right.
been real. Thank you for having me on to hear my nonsense. Remember, I don't believe anything I say all too strongly, but the at the same time, we're like it's starting to add up, and these are it's only me connecting dots at this point. It's not even my ideas as much. So
Hey, real quick before you take off, because I think we're
yeah,
in the show. When you going mining?
that's a good question. I would love to. I just haven't really had the chance or opportunity, man. It's been like a crazy situation. Fall is coming. Um, Definitely have a little bit of time. I have about 3 trips worth of money, so that's cool. And yeah, I'm gonna take full advantage of that. Chances are, when I do it, I'm probably gonna carve out like I'll find the good weekend and I'll carve out all 3 days and just go at it, day after day. That way,
One
it's
after
not
the
like
other until you find something you want?
pretty much. And I
Nice.
guess the only thing that would break that is if like on day 1 or 2, I find like something good, then that's like winning like a good amount on a scratch off and then going back and buying more scratch offs at that point. You let it cool down a little bit and then
No, I
you
get it.
let a few other people lose before you go back at that point. But it's yeah, it's something I've been looking forward to and I've been angsting to get out to, but it went from hot to now raining again, and just weekend after weekend's either been going to visit Long Island, or like just wasted weekends here and there too, which sucks because of the weather or whatever. So but it's coming about. Temperatures dropping off. I'm looking forward to getting out there.
Right on. Well, I look forward to watching that, man, when you do go out there. I want to see you
Oh yeah,
get
I'm
some.
dying. Well, and not to mention, I want to get everybody some like some quartz too. So if I
Yeah,
get like nice sample stuff, I'll send some over to you. Maybe
nice.
we could run like a contest or something. Send somebody a bag
Oh,
crystals.
dude, they
You
like
know,
that stuff, man. That stuff's
yeah,
awesome.
man. That's what it's all about. It's there's only so many that I could possibly want or need. And I already have plenty of decent ones. I don't have the one for the shelf yet that I get to like zap with all sorts of things and go, oh my god, it's alive.
I love it.
Yeah,
We're all zapping stuff. All right,
yeah.
guys. I want to thank everybody in the chat, man. Really cool stuff. Thank you, Darren, out there, man, for hooking everybody up with the memberships today. I also gave out some memberships today. And I want to thank Charles, man, for becoming a member, man. Check out that video Joe and I did, man. You'll absolutely love it. And there's a bunch of cool stuff on there on the short section. I think there's like 90 of them on there by now of all Sean's stuff that he was doing, man. Totally awesome stuff. So, anyway, man, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it, guys. Have yourself a great day.
Right on. Peace and love.
The old man will. The old man will. The old man will. The old man builds.
The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds.
The old man builds.
Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.